in the Buddhism teaching, you have four kinds of teaching. You have one teachings. The name is the path for human and God. This is the basic path in the Buddhism. The topics of this kind of teaching in the Buddhism, it's to help the people, whoever the people, to engage in wholesome deeds and to avoid unwholesome deeds. And the unwholesome deeds, it's basically the karma, based on the karma rules, the law of karma. To resume extremely, the fact to harm other people will have a kind of a loop effect, and I will suffer in the future. And where is the place where it begins to act? It's in the mind. If my mind is awesome, so my deeds will be awesome. So in this context, the practitioners are invited to tame the mind in order to have awesome way of life based on generosity, patience, and observing good deeds in the daily life, not to hurt the others, really like you can find in the Christic traditions. And in this way, the practitioner will have the opportunity to find good lives in the future. Why they can find this kind of good lives? Because the framework of the mind will be wholesome. So when the time of dying is coming, so the next life, the time between two lives will be in a positive context, and it will be easier to find a good environment to reborn, because in Buddhist context, the human body and the God's body are a good state of existence. So this kind of path is better for lay people, for people who have no time to commit in meditation, but they have time to have a right way of existence. So the right way of existence is better based on to worship the gods like Indra, Shiva, whatever, and to respect the family and to help poor people with generosity. It's very basic, and the topic is really to work on the inner state of mind to have the good conditions for the next life. So that is a very basic way of teaching of they call that the path of human and gods. Based on that, it can be not enough for some people. Why it's not enough? Because in this kind of path, you don't cut the root of suffering. You manage the lives, because you are gathering very good deeds. You can find better lives after lives, but you will not overcome the birth, the growing, the sickness, and the dying process. It means in this kind of traditions that you don't overcome the death. You are grasped in the suffering process. Even if you are doing right, you have to leave your friends. You have to leave your body. You have to leave your spouse. You have to leave everything. Why? Because when the time of dying is coming, nothing can happen differently. And for people who are sensitive to this kind of suffering, the Buddha gave another path, which is called the Shravaka path. Shravaka means in Sanskrit the path of the people who are they listen the words of the Buddha. So in this context, the perspective here, it's really to overcome the suffering and the root of suffering. And through the meditations, the monk, because here the way of life is quite right. You don't harm anyone. You have to focus on a virtuous way of life, and you have to accomplish the meditation. And through the meditation path, which emphasizes on the mindfulness process, you go step by step in the meditation absorption, which is called samadhi or dhyana. And here at the end, you overcome the death. You win the process of death. And arhat in Sanskrit means the winner, the one who is who overcomes the death to resume. And there is a kind of program with and nowadays this kind of Buddhism, it's quite common in Sri Lanka, Vipassana. It's like this, Theravada, you can find this in Thailand, and of course in Birmanic, Burmese, isn't it? Burmese. And you can also find this kind of school in China, a bit less, but still abiding. There is another step of teaching of the Buddha. There is the Bodhisattva path, and here the purpose. There is another path. It's, we don't know very much about that nowadays. It's I just give to give you all this kind of process. It's a pratyekya Buddha. It is an individual way of practicing, and this kind of people, they go without any master. They go in the period where there isn't any Buddha, and just by themselves, they train one life after life, and it's the same process. They go beyond the death at the end. Through the power of the meditation, one day they can realize the state beyond the death, and so they reach a kind of state of peace, which is called nirvana or nibbana in the Pali system, and they go beyond the death. It's for people who they don't want to go with some master. They just want to go by themselves. And at the end, there is the way of Bodhisattva, and the Bodhisattva is a guy. It's not enough for him to go beyond the death, because he's observing that everybody in the world is suffering. So he wants to get enlightened totally, to be able to help people to go over the death and to go over the suffering process. And Bodhisattva goal is to reach enlightenment, and you have to take care in the Buddhist path. If I can resume, there is a kind of people who say it's okay for me to be in the world. I assume the fact I will die, but I will find a good way of life, one life after life. And there is a second kind of people who say I don't bear anymore the suffering. I don't bear anymore to leave my people to die. I want a process, I want a path which allows me to go beyond the suffering. And you have a last path where you have the feeling that every sentient beings are suffering, and you want to be able to help them due to your spiritual journey. And this is the Bodhisattva way of life. And this you can find in Tibet, Northern India, China, Japan, and Korea, mainly today. But it's not like boxes. If you go, I know many people who went to forest in Thailand or in Burmese, and find some monks, and they say we are in the Bodhisattva way. So sometimes during our experience, sometimes you have some schools, and we have the feeling it's just some schools are very established like this, but it's not always like this. Actually, it depends really of the state of mind. Some people can find Bodhisattva way of meditation very cool, but the state of mind, it's really focused on this life. So you are actually practicing in the first step. But some people, they are in a Theravada, in Vipassana school, but the state of mind is very deeply rooted in the compassion way of life, and more or less they will turn in the Bodhisattva way. So the state of mind is very very important. So it's just to give you a kind of global perspective of the different kind of Buddhism which exist. Do you have a question just about this global presentation about that? It's interesting to present like this because it goes beyond geographic presentation. Usually you have Buddhist, Tibetan Buddhism, Sri Lanka Buddhism. Okay, it's very nice because each part of the world, they adapt the Buddhist path. But if you come back in the scripture, you have this kind of four way of practicing Buddhism. Whatever the place in the world you are born, you will always find in the scripture this four kind of Buddhism. Any question for you?
If you want to ask questions, you can ask in the chat, or you can just raise your hand so that, and just unmute your mic. So yeah, depending on your preferences, if you have questions. Or clarifications, or yeah, Helma.
Yeah, can you understand me?
Yes.
You can hear me. Oh, would it be possible to get this survey in French language?
This survey
afterwards, or
sorry,
sometime?
this survey in I didn't get
In French language.
In French.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't follow it too well in English.
Oh, you mean in real time to have it in French?
No, that wouldn't probably not be possible, but afterwards maybe, or some other time, some other meeting or whatever.
Yeah, if I can just share that this will be recorded and the audio will be in the YouTube channel, and then you can put automatic subtitles that will translate automatically.
Oh, okay. Oh,
in the language
nice.
you want. It's not 100%, but it works pretty well. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So there is a question from Alistair in the chat, Stéphane.
Oh, okay.
How do you feel about secular mindfulness? Does it?
You have four kinds of paths in Buddhism, and Bodhisattva path is the fourth one. The fourth kind of Buddhism path it's the last one. So you have the first part is the path of what they call human and God. The second, it's the one of Shravaka. You find it in nowadays in the Theravada schools in Southern Asia mainly. And you have the third school, the third path. It's the Pratyekya Buddha. Just to be complete, it doesn't exist anymore. And you have the fourth one, it's the Bodhisattva path. But it's just in the scripture, the framework of practicing of Buddhism. And I introduce you to that because afterwards, it will be interesting to recontext that in the framework of mindfulness process. This is why I introduce you like this. So, this kind of it's not a school Pratyekya Buddha. It's not a school. It's really some way of practicing Buddhism. And for most of people who were Pratikya Buddha, they practice during the time of Buddha, and after they go in, they died, and they will come back in a period where there isn't any Buddha anymore during according to the text, the scripture. And so you will not find them as a Pratikya Buddha. They just practice mainly what we call in Buddhism the 12 links of interdependence. But I will not talk a lot about them because except if you are a fan of Tibetan Buddhist philosophy, no one pay attention to them. I remember in USA, even monks, they don't know them. Only scholars, they know this kind of practice. So if we time is going, so I will just show you which kind of Buddhism we use in the mindfulness process. During the development of mindfulness, John Kabat-Zinn focused mainly on a teaching which is called the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Four foundations of mindfulness. It's a very huge text, the different kind of text, and the main part, the focusing of this kind of text, it's to focus on a way of paying attention, which is called mindfulness, and we have here different kind of mindfulness. We pay attention about the past to use the instructions we receive. We call that sati in Pali, smrti in Sanskrit. We are able to remember something, and usually, if when we find something new, we know this new stuff through the memory, and we go through that with autopilot. If you know your basic system of mindfulness, but here, due to the mindfulness, you just become aware on the present moment, and so you cut the autopilot system. It means, from the Buddhist perspective, you cut the pattern of karmic tendencies to repeat again and again the karmic tendencies you have to react in a way. So this is the first kind of mindfulness we use. And this is also the main way of mindfulness we are using in mindfulness program, of course. And you have a second kind of mindfulness. This is if you know a text, there is a kind of Dhammapada. It's very, very famous, and they use this kind of text this kind of word to talk about mindfulness. We talk about apramada. This kind of mindfulness, it's the way you orient you pay attention better in the future, the way you want to engage in the action. This kind of mindfulness, you can translate easily in English like to take care. To take care, you see, in English you have both meaning. It's to take care of people, and you have to take care of what you are doing now. And apramada has both meaning. You have to take care. Yeah, there is a kind of the first step of compassion, and you have to commit your life in a way to fit with the law of the Buddha. It means not harm people, not harm yourself, and to pay attention to the people. And this apramada, it's better. The attention, it's not focused on the past. Sorry, it's focused on the future. You go in the action, and which kind of state of mind you will cultivate going in your activities. And you have a last one kind of mindfulness, which is better focused on the present moment. Here you have to pay attention. What is in my mind? Which kind of state of mind is there? Is my mind is going here and there, or am I better quiet? What's happening in my mind? And this kind of I just give you the name in Tibetan. They call that sheshin, and it's very complicated word in Sanskrit. So I will not write here, but this is the last one you use a lot also in a mindfulness program. You have to pay attention how my mind is now, and through that I become aware about what to do. I have to come back to my breath? I have to come back to my body. And in the scriptures, the meditation instructions, they try to be precise about which kind of mindfulness I have to use now to fit with my own situation. If I commit in actions, it's better apramada. If I commit in meditation, sometimes I have to recall what is the good instructions to pay attention to my body? What is the good instructions to pay attention to my sensations? And so you have these different words for mindfulness, and each kind of these words fit with a way of paying attention to something. And the four foundation of mindfulness follow a process where you focus first on the body, and you know that in a Mbsr program, for example, we begin by the body scan. And in this four foundations of mindfulness, you have to pay attention to the body, when the body goes, when the body just is lying down, the different parts of the body. You have many instructions to be aware of the body. And the second perspective it's the sensation. And I would like to insist a bit on this aspect, sensation, because sometimes it's not really clear the process of sensations. Because if you go in mindfulness courses and you ask people, just describe me your sensation, people will describe mainly, even the mindfulness teacher, where you feel something in the body, isn't it? Maybe you are doing like this. Where is your sensation in the body? But here, the sensation we are talking about now, it's the first contact you have with a stimulus. For example, if I put fire on my hand, if I just drink this tea and I burn my tongue, the first contact, it's an unpleasant event. And you observe how it's well done in mindfulness program. They don't say positive or negative experience. They ask you, is it which kind of sensation, unpleasant or pleasant event? Because I can describe how to burn my tongue is an unpleasant event. And this is very important because in MBCT program, for example, and mainly in cognitive therapy, you have a lot of impact in mindfulness process if you are quite aware about the first moment of a thought in contact with awareness. The first, for example, if I had a trauma, and if I, for example, I was in a place where a bomb explodes, and a car is coming and make a big noise, and I feel fear about that. If I'm following the mindfulness process, the sooner I am able to be aware about the contact of the noise with the unpleasant sensation, the more I will be able to deal with the emotions process. The later I am aware about the unpleasant events, the less I am able to deal with this kind of emotions. So it's very interesting to observe that the place where the sensation is the more Buddhist, it's in the cognitive therapy based on this kind of area. Because usually in Mbsr, people focus mainly on the sensation in the body, but actually it's really the moment where the ego clinging is working, and sensation goes through always to get some pleasant sensation and to avoid unpleasant sensation. And I find in 2003 a gathering of cognitive therapy in the period of ACT was very young, and I find a talk about Stephen Hayes, and he talk a lot about this process of fusion. We talk about that in ACT, and sensation in Buddhist psychology. It's really the moment where the ego clinging grasps on itself. And this is why in some scripture, they consider sensation as the glue of the self-clinging. And the cause of suffering in some scripture is in the grasping on the sensation. It's a very important topic. And after you have the third way of paying attention is the mental event, what we call in mindfulness process we call just thoughts or emotions. And here also it's interesting to have a bit more focusing on the content of mental events. In Buddhist context, the mental events, they will describe some mental events which are really a part of my way of thinking. For example, I have the memory, I have the ability to be in the space, and this kind of mental event, it's really a part of my way of being. They are always with me. And you have also some mental events which are just changing moment after moment. For example, sometimes I feel very comfortable when I am observing you behind the screen, and sometimes I feel quite impressive. One time it will be there, and one time it will not be there. And some mental events will create a good karma if they are good generosity, loving kindness. And some mental events will create suffering, like hatred or fear, just like we can imagine. And in the old scripture, we don't talk really about emotions. And that also is very interesting to understand that, because it's here there is a kind of gap between the notion of emotions as we observe in Buddhist context and like we explore in mindfulness context. In the Buddhist,
we will just observe the process of which kind of mental events are cause of suffering and which kind of emotions cause happiness. And we have to distinguish them and to tame the mind. This is the first step. And the second step, it's to be able to just observe the mental event just like a dream. They are not solid, they are not something real. And when the practitioner realizes the mental events are not real, he doesn't depend anymore about good or bad state of mind. He's free of mental events. And you have like this some descriptions about a process where the practitioner is freeing himself about the mental events. And beyond the mental events, there is a kind of wisdom. And wisdom is not just empty, but it's free from mental events. So that's I think it's very different from the Buddhist and mindfulness process. And you know, in this in the scripture, they don't pay attention of emotions as we pay attention in the mindfulness program. They don't care about the state of mind like anxiousness. They don't care about state of mind like the fear or some state of mind we meet a lot when we are practicing mindfulness with ourselves or with people. They focus mainly, my state of mind, is it full of hatred, fear, desire, and or it is full of loving kindness, peace, and something like this. And the reason is why is like this, because emotions are cause of actions, and actions are karma, and karma will make suffering. And for example, in mindfulness courses, it's very rare to pay attention to desire. And in Buddhist system, they pay attention of mind of desire, because according to this kind of system, it's the cause of grasping and hatred state of mind. It's kind of a will of suffering. So here also it's very interesting to observe that in mindfulness context, we pay attention better to state of mind and emotions, but it's not this kind of emotions we pay attention in the Buddhist context. In Buddhist context, we will pay attention to desire, anger, pride, jealousy, ignorance, kind of blind state of mind. And I think also it's interesting to see in this specific context, it's a bit different, the way of we are paying attention. And you have a last one. It's they call that dharma, or dharma for people who are more familiar with Vipassana system or Theravada. And it includes all the kind of description of phenomena. In some very old scripture, the last one of mindfulness is the paying attention to the, I pay attention to the way I pay attention. It's just, you have this metacognition. And for example, if you are full of anger, if I am full of anger, and I become aware of this anger, but the part of my awareness is also anger, it will not give any good results, actually. Just anger plus anger equal anger. But if my state of mind, when I become aware of anger, is in a loving kindness state of mind, So my anger can have more chance to diminish and to be pacified. So in the very old scripture, it's the way you are paying attention to something. And in a more later scripture, dharma, it's the way you are perceiving the world, actually. And these four foundations for mindfulness are really rooted in the mindfulness-based program, and they are a bit kind of backbone of the foundations of the mindfulness program. But you see, it has been a bit transformed in the context of Buddhism, and people who make this kind of slight transformation, they also they were in the 70s, where many people just they were like bees. Sometimes they go in Tibetan center, sometimes they go with Trungpa Rinpoche, sometimes they go in Zen center. So if you read some people like Jack Cornfield, you will see it's a very mixed, a lot of mixed. The whole book of these people, they just talk of Tibetan Buddhism, and they mix a lot of concept and experience, and sometimes it's difficult to find which kind of Buddhism they are using. But mainly you will find always this four kind of foundation. The four foundation of mindfulness. It's really the backbone of the mindfulness program. You have also the four state of Brahma. And you will know that it's like love, compassion, joyfulness, and equanimity. In the very first scripture of mindfulness text that John Kabat-Zinn, equanimity, used, it was he used very often this kind of words, but after, oh, I'm sorry about that. You cannot see what you are typing. How to do that, Eugenio?
Oh, you're typing in the chat, Stéphane?
Yes, yes.
To everybody? Strange. Yeah, I cannot see also. Yes. Sasha says maybe press return. I don't know, because it should work. It's if you only the last typing.
Love, compassion,
joy, and equanimity.
Joyfulness,
Yes.
and equanimity. Oh wait, yeah, you messed a lot, huh? I don't understand why. It's very strange. It's like for me. Yes, yes. I don't know why. I just sent to Catherine from Sweden. So.
Copy paste. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
If it's possible.
Maybe you have to send it to everyone, not just one person.
Yes.
Yes, it's very strange. I don't know why it just comes from.
Oh, we can see you now. It's
now
fine.
We can see. Yeah, now we can see. Thanks. Is it okay?
So
Questions, Stéphane? Or...
in this context, I will not give a lot of details, but just compassion is the sensitivity we have for the suffering of some people. Love is the cleverness, the brightness of the mind to answer a problem. And so it's important to consider love it's not kind of ecstasy. It's really a way of understanding the pain of others and the cleverness you have to give a clever, a smart answer to this suffering. And this is why sometimes you insist on this kind of meditation, because you develop some abilities and skillfulness of the mind to be able to understand what people need in the present moment to be helped. And joyfulness also, we can have some different perspective, but here it's really a state of mind which is happy by itself during the meditation state. It's not a state of mind. My joyfulness depends on this and that and this. It's really the mind by itself is joyful. And equanimity, it's also difficult to resume like this, but we can say that when the mind it's not bound by hatred and desire, is free by itself, and we can call that equanimity. But after, it depends of the level of the practitioner. So, and this kind of what we call that Brahma, you know, maybe in Hinduist in India history, it's a very big god, and when a universe is growing, at the moment which the universe is appearing, there is a god called Brahma, and he said, like you said, is my body. The god say, this universe is my body. And so it's a very huge god, you know, because the universe in the India cosmology is very, very huge, and there are many universes. And the cause of karma, which allow a god to be a god like Brahma, it's loving kindness meditations. So if you practice that, you see, well, what will happen to you? You will be a god. And these four aspects, love, compassion, joyfulness, and equanimity, they were very important at the beginning of Mbsr program. But due to the fact that Kabat-Zinn and other people have to commit in the clinical system, sometimes they pick up from the mindfulness process, because at this moment in 80s, it was a bit too much religious. But now, with all this kind of self-compassion program, it comes back, and it's very common now. So you have also a text coming from Buddhism about how to pay attention to the breathing system, and this also, it's very common in our mindfulness program. So mainly it's very very simple. You have this kind of four foundation of mindfulness: loving, compassion, joyfulness, and equanimity, and breath. And this scripture are a kind of backbone of all the mindfulness program you have now. And I would like just to give a short conclusion about that. Nowadays, you have two tendencies compared to the Buddhist Buddhist system. You have one way which we live a bit the Buddhism path. Some consider we understand what we understand about the Buddhism. We don't need more. It's okay for us. We go through mindfulness now. It's enough. But you have other perspective, like Willoughby Britton. Maybe some of you you know her. And I have no time to go in many details, but I invite you to make some research about her. She's very renowned in Brown University, and it's very interesting the way she's working, because she's not Buddhist at all, but she observed that you have some people in a mindfulness program or meditation courses, they have a big experience. They don't feel their body, they feel like a giant, something like this. And at the beginning, if you are a therapist or a psychologist, you say, oh, these people, it's just becoming crazy. It's just making meditation, and after it doesn't feel his body anymore. Why is like this? And afterwards, they try to be a bit more precise about that. And they realize, no, they are not crazy. It's just meditation experience. But of course, the physician is not aware about that. He doesn't know anything about meditation path. So when a guy, I remember 10 years ago, a psychologist said, oh, I was making a Buddhist scan with a client. And at one time, he felt his arm was becoming very, very huge. And she said, "Oh, it's like this." I don't remember the name of this kind of mental disorder. But of course, everyone here is knowing meditation. When you know, of course, this can happen. It's just meditation experience. So Willoughby Britton is obliged to display what is when people are becoming psychotic due to the mental disorder, and when it's really a meditation experience. But it's not only that. If you are coming in mindfulness program to feel happy and to have a better way of life, and you don't mind about the nirvana or something like this, you just want to deal in a better way with your emotion, and you go with meditation, and after three sessions of meditation, you feel huge, you don't feel your body, and what happens to how you deal as a mindfulness teacher, how you can deal, because for people, they didn't expect that. They just want to feel good. So the work of Willoughby Britton is really to help people to consider what's happening in the meditation. And some people, they wanted it's very important, because she has to be precise on which kind of experience people have. If this experience harming people, or it's just meditation experience, but how to help them, because they don't run after experience. So how to deal with that? And since she's doing this kind of work, she also observed that some people in the Buddhist center, like me, they stayed many years in retreat, but they didn't fix some psychologist program. So due to the impact of meditation, mental disorder get worse, actually. It didn't pacify the mind, but it gets worse. And how to help this kind of people? Respect, just say they are just, you cannot just say they are crazy. They have a framework of understanding of the process of mind, and to help them, it's quite sensitive, actually. So it's very nice to observe that today there is a very important part of mindfulness in the research context, which is opening on the traditional path in a very more precise way. And this Willoughby Britton, this professor, the doctor, she's quite accurate about this different kind of Buddhism and different kind of meditation. She's quite fluent with that. It's very nice. And also you have also another part of research, like Richard Davidson, or in France you have some Antoine Lutz, and they have to go beyond only the 4 foundations of mindfulness. They want to go in a more specific way, making some research on awareness by itself. And when they consider awareness and the research on consciousness, they have to go deeper and more precisely in different kind of meditations. And this is why we have in EAMBA some people, we have a teacher, and this teacher had to organize a retreat for people, 10 days retreat, to observe different kind of meditation, which impact the different kind of meditation has on the mind, and to be more specific and to see beyond mindfulness what's happening in the mind. So it's a very strange period of time, because we have a part of mindfulness process, we say goodbye to the Buddhism, and we have another part on the other side. It's really focusing in more precise way on what is Buddhism, which meditation, what is meditation. So I think I finished. I'm sorry, I'm late.
Thanks a lot, Stéphane. It's.
Thank you very much. I think
maybe there are some questions. If you have some time, someone wants to.
I think they will close the place here with my daughter.
Okay, so no problem. So then we.
But what we can collect a question, and maybe I can answer about some stuff. So it's okay if you want more details, and I can send you a review with some books if some people want to go in more detail.
Okay. Yeah, if you have questions to Stéphane, you can send them to the exchange, exchange at EAMBA.net. I can write it down, and we will forward them to Stéphane, so that he can answer your question. I had one question about the 3 seals of Buddhism and Mbsr, because that question is very present for several years, but I'll ask by email to you, Stéphane.
Yes, please just send me, and I will try to help as I can. No, but I think they will close the place. So.
No problem. So,
thank you. I apologize for my English. I hope you get some words.
Thank you, Stéphane. It was quite understandable and very, very nice. Very much appreciated.
I will send some information you can find again, this kind of, where you can find more detail about the topics.
Thank you, Stéphane, for this nice and brief overview.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.